Ask 20 different people how to define leadership and you will undoubtedly receive 20 distinctly different answers. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines leadership as the office or position of a leader, the capacity to lead in the act or instance of leading. While that is clearly a broad definition, being a leader is a broad responsibility. For our purposes today, we will focus on the need to tailor the leadership role specifically towards adjusting strategy to help ensure success during global expansion. Warren Bennis defines leadership as the ability to translate vision into reality. And for our purposes, we will explore the concept of leadership as it relates to bringing the vision of global business success into reality. Leadership is more than managing people. True leaders guide their teams, influence direction, and define strategy. True leaders put in the time and effort required to make the decisions that will lead their companies to success. Successful leaders identify issues and failures quickly and make the necessary adjustments to course correct. Global leaders recognize that the stakes are higher, the consequences are broader, but the potential payoff is substantial.
With expansion into the global marketplace, U.S.-based companies face new and different challenges than they are accustomed to at home. Expanding out of country introduces the distance factor. Travel becomes more complicated and the dependency on technology grows. The office environment changes as well. Lost are the opportunities to meet in the break room to discuss an issue bubbling up in the market. Gone are the chances to celebrate success over a team lunch down the street. Additionally, moving into a new geographic area forces a company into a new and likely very different culture. With this comes the challenge of learning new ways, educating the rest of the company about the new culture and making the necessary changes in process procedure and other day-to-day activities in order to coexist. A globally expanding company must also find out how to gently introduce their foreign culture into the new market without upsetting the norm. Recruiting in the global space is a challenge as well. Expanding companies must determine the balance of legacy resources to new, in-country resources. They need to determine how they will handle their recruiting and at what pace. Most importantly, they need to understand the availability of the right resources and what will be required of them to attract, maintain and grow their teams. And the all-encompassing challenge for global expansion: complexity. With an expanding business comes an expanded hierarchy, expanded leadership, expanded teams. With an expanding business comes additional infrastructure, added governance, added red tape. Complexity can be daunting, even overwhelming. If a company's leadership is not prepared for the complexity of global expansion, they may be doomed from the start.
Today's focus is on the adjusting leader. To succeed in the global marketplace, effective leaders in the United States must learn to seamlessly adjust their leadership styles for compatibility with the cultures they work with and within. Let's walk through some global misses that should help you understand why the skill of adjustment is so important for global leaders today. First, we will walk through Groupon's attempt at wrecking their way into the Chinese market. Second, we will review the occasional need to adjust strategy due to external forces outside of your company's control, forces like the most significant conflict in Europe since World War II. Third, let's take a stroll through the now empty aisles of Home Depot China and hammer away at why history is such an important subject. Fourth, we will address the culture clash Walmart faced in Germany and find out why they had to say Auf Wiedersehen and goodbye. And finally, we take a quick coffee break and see why Starbucks needed a triple shot just to find their way up from the land down under. As one of the largest group buying companies in the United States, Groupon has enjoyed huge growth through the years. With profit margins as high as 50%, global expansion was a no-brainer for Groupon leadership. With a proven successful business model, Groupon took its wrecking ball approach and flew right into the Chinese market. With plans for mass hiring of in-country resources, a full-blown attack on the total group buy market, and a strategic partnership with an existing Chinese company, Groupon thought they were poised for success. So, what went wrong? First, massive in-country hiring created the need for extensive and time-intensive training and resulted in a giant team with almost no real-world experience. Due to the lack of experience, Groupon was forced to become management-heavy right from the start. Second, Groupon didn't do their homework and were not prepared for the copycat culture of the Chinese business world. Within 18 months, over 5,000 new companies mirroring Groupon had already flooded the Chinese market. And third, they simply picked the wrong partner. Groupon's choice was very poorly managed and actually became a hindrance to their efforts to ease entry into the country. So, if Groupon had it to do all over again, what should they have done different? They should have spent more time researching and vetting their in-country partner to ensure a good fit and solid foundation to build off. They also should have brought in legacy Groupon resources during the early months after market entry. The benefit gained by using resources with real-world Groupon-specific experience would have been invaluable. And they should have left the wrecking ball back in the US. A more narrowed focus within the large Chinese market would have made Groupon less of a target for the copycat businesses primed to pounce.
Occasionally, companies find themselves faced with hard decisions. Sometimes those decisions require putting values ahead of profits. On February 24 of 2022, Russian President Vladimir Putin launched the biggest conflict in Europe since World War II. Regardless of your stance on the conflict, global businesses were sent scrambling to balance and maintain global commerce. Companies who had enjoyed historic success in the Russian market were forced to make difficult decisions that would impact their customers and their bottom lines. Netflix, along with many other global companies, made the tough decision to pull completely out of the Russian market. This was an almost immediate release of over 700,000 subscribers. This loss also came on the heels of a massive subscriber exodus after the lifting of pandemic restrictions and the world getting back to normal. These losses represented the first mass subscriber loss for Netflix in over a decade, and Netflix shares dropped by almost 35%. Despite facing revenue loss and subscriber decline, Netflix didn't cut their losses and walk away. Instead, they pivoted their model and shifted their focus. Netflix doubled down and expanded and improved their content, catering not only to existing customers but also pushing into markets they had not reached previously. They also made the decision to get tough and stop leaving money on the table. With over 100,000 homes sharing Netflix services, they began cracking down on account sharing and converting non-paying customers into subscribers. After all, it was Netflix co-chief Reed Hastings who said,
"Remember, these are 100 million households that already are choosing to view Netflix. They love the service. We just got to get paid."
At the end of the 20th century, China began loosening its housing regulations. For the first time since the communist takeover of 1949, private citizens were able to own private residences. With this freedom came a brand new market of buyers anxious to improve and customize their homes. With Sweden's IKEA and the UK's B&Q doing well in the market, Home Depot seemed to have the tools required to build success.
Unfortunately for Home Depot, their leadership didn't spend enough time studying its Chinese history. Home Depot duplicated their warehouse-style store model in China, which meant they did not have locations in the more densely populated urban areas. A weekend trip to Home Depot required extensive travel. They also maintained their do-it-yourself handyman aesthetics and did not make adjustments for the female decision-makers. As a result of the one-child law active in China until 2016, Chinese males outnumber females 105 to 100. Women are prized, and keeping your wife happy is a primary focus of smart husbands. Because of this, women are given almost 100% control over household decisions, including decor, improvements and more. The masculine vibe and focus of Home Depot was a non-starter for the majority of Chinese women. But the nail in the Home Depot coffin was losing sight of the deeply rooted cultural bias towards manual labor. Chinese consumers prefer to hire workers to handle their residential overhauls and in many cases believe doing their own work makes it look like they cannot afford to hire work out. These misses led to the shuttering of all original Chinese Home Depot stores within 6 years. What should Home Depot have done to connect to the Chinese markets? Because of the space limitations and dense population of urban areas, they should have opened smaller, upscale boutique-style home improvement stores. They also should have designed these stores with the Chinese wives in mind. Muted colors, softer materials and a stronger focus on decor. And, in order to appeal to Chinese vanity and both the husband and wife, Home Depot should have taken advantage of the readily available and inexpensive manual labor resources and offered broader and more extensive installation and service offerings.
Walmart didn't hesitate to move into the German market. As the 13th largest economy in the world and with an existing $370 billion retail market, Germany was booming. Germany also had a very similar cultural and political model to the United States, and the availability of established local chains Interspar and Werkkauf. Walmart felt confident it could lift and shift its U.S. model seamlessly into the German marketplace. Unfortunately, Walmart soured its German customers and employees almost immediately. The Walmart business model at the time placed a lot of value on customer greeting at the door, smiling at passing customers and even engaging in small talk at the checkout line. While Germany is a friendly country, they value genuine interactions over forced pleasantries. Because of this, the German consumers were put off by Walmart's actions. Walmart also failed to grasp the German drive to purchase local products from local providers. By offering unfamiliar brands from far-off producers, they put consumers further on edge. Over time, the German market believed that Walmart valued profit over providing quality merchandise and as a result spent their money with local businesses.
Komm, versuch es noch einmal.
Try again. How could Walmart turn things around in Germany? Primarily by respecting the German culture and its traditions. The U.S. processes and procedures need adjusting to appeal to the local consumers and the local employees. They would also benefit from providing higher quality and more familiar products, even at a slightly lower than normal margin. And finally, they would likely benefit from partnering with an existing and established retailer, riding on the relationship they already have with the local consumers.
The land down under certainly enjoys its coffee. In the 20th century, a large influx of Italian and Greek immigrants brought a newfound appreciation for specialty coffees to Australia. The coffee industry makes up $4 billion of the $13 trillion gross domestic product of Australia. Weighing in as the 13th largest economy in the world, Australia, on paper, looked like a fantastic location for Starbucks' next global expansion. So what did Australians get all steamed up about when Starbucks came calling? Australian natives were already enamored with their authentic specialty coffees and teas. They had relationships with their baristas and appreciated the personal touch they received. Australians had also embraced the buy local movement long before it became a staple on T-shirts and business windows. They had a strong sense of community and perceived Starbucks' strong run at the market as a bully move made worse by Starbucks' higher prices. Australians are a loyal people, and when Starbucks presented itself as a threat to the community they loved, they revolted and put their money where their hearts were. As a result, Starbucks closed 2/3 of their Australian stores within 8 years of opening them. Now Starbucks is a great example to wrap up on. Not only can we talk about what Starbucks should have done different to achieve success, we can also review what they actually did to mitigate some of their losses. In a perfect world, Starbucks would have entered the Australian market with a respect for the local coffee scene that Australians would have appreciated. They could have focused on the Italian and Greek coffees that Australians truly enjoyed and offered them at a price point in line with what they had grown accustomed to. And while hindsight is 20/20, there is no way to go back in time and correct the mistakes of Starbucks' past. But what they did was revert back to what had made them so profitable before. They sold coffee to their loyal customers. No, it wasn't a secret underground group of Starbucks loyal Australians, it was the tourists visiting Australia from Starbucks-loving countries. With almost 700,000 monthly tourist arrivals, Starbucks maintains a presence in Australia by appealing to the out-of-towners.
We started this presentation with a review of 4 challenges faced by leaders when expanding into the global market. Hopefully, the examples reviewed provided some insight into how to handle and not handle some of these challenges. While U.S. companies will always face issues related to distance when expanding globally, leaders must realize this and plan to mitigate as much negative impact as possible. When moving into a new, global market, leaders must strive to maintain a healthy respect for the in-country culture in order to set their companies and their teams up for success. Recruiting in the global space brings added challenges, and leaders must understand the importance of finding the right resources, the right way. And while global expansion introduces complexity in the new and existing market, Leaders must focus on being equipped to manage it.
So what did we learn? Being an effective and successful leader requires a broad set of ever-evolving and improving skills. And being an effective and successful leader in the global market brings its own set of challenges. And while leaders of all kinds will always face challenges, the real measure of a leader is how they handle them.
On behalf of Group Number 4, thank you for your time and your attention.